What is crackin', my lords and ladies? It is Ren Creates, and today I'm bringing you guys a very special video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how powerful you can get just within the first area of the game. Earlier on a stream I did this week, I actually made myself a little challenge where I decided to be in Only Limgrave, the first starting area of the game. I devised a plan and strategy that will allow me to get my hands on as many powerful things as I possibly can get my hands on, and overall see if I can actually defeat all the toughest bosses in the whole area. Thankfully, however, Limgrave actually has a lot of bosses and enemies that are weak to fire, and this is going to be important later to know. But before I actually go on to anything else, I think I want to first start by going over what actually is Limgrave. Limgrave is of course the first starting area of the game. However, I think it's definitely worth mentioning that Limgrave is made up of 4 areas, or regions. Main Limgrave, Mistwood, Stormvale, and Stormvale Castle. I am only limited to staying within these 4 areas alone, since going anywhere including the Runeatal Lakes, Caelid, Weepy Peninsula, or Siofra Riverwell are off limits for this challenge to be valid. Other than that, everything's fair game, so let me show you my journey to getting probably one of the most shockingly powerful spells so early on in the game, to the point where I'm comfortably killing the Urculate Tree Spears and Crucible Knights. So I first start off with the starting class Bandits and the Golden Seed Keepsake. Bandit is going to be a great choice since we have the highest arcane, decent dexterity, and relatively low faith, which is going to be my biggest downside. Although I will be upgrading faith for the majority of my run through this area, I still have to upgrade my dexterity for later. But the one thing I must do right away as soon as I get there is upgrade my strength at least once. This way I'll be able to wield the heater shield for later. I also get all the essentials like usual, Torrent, Wet Blade, Summoning Bell, you know how it goes, and get the crafting kit and all that good jazz. Afterwards, the Reduvia was going to be an absolute must, my personal favorite weapon. And we go to Roderica, even though I'll never have to go to the Round Table Hold except for one reason. After that, I pick up the Beast Crest Heater Shield and grab myself the Strength Knot Crystal Tier, along with going back to Caelid and buying the rest of his crackpots, which throwable consumables are going to be very important for later. Also, the NPC D is here, and I decide to let all the AI kill him for me. Interestingly enough, D doesn't actually attack us or the enemies when they attack him. So overall, I can get myself a really cool armor set. After I make my way down the Mistwood, the third Church of Marika is next up on the list. Must I say anything less, you know what we get here. The Wondrous Flask of Physic, the Crimson Crystal Tier which heals 50% of our health, and our one and only Sacred Tier we will be obtaining through this whole run. So it is a must-have for our flasks. Afterward, we encounter Blythe's Howl, and then we make our way to Fort Hyatt, where I basically loot up the whole place and grab everything. Bloody Slash, the Dectus Medallion Half, and the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook 6 are going to be the most notable things we can grab from this area besides the Golden Seed outside. Other than that, we are looking very good. But the one thing I really shouldn't leave out is Golden Vow. This Ashore can be obtained very early. As soon as you make your way up from Stormhill Shack, you're going to be able to basically keep more to the northern eastern part of the area right underneath the bridge, and there's going to be Lyondell Cavalry there. After defeating him, you will get Golden Vow, which you can apply on a light dagger to give yourself a 7.5 defense boost and a 10% attack boost, which overall is going to make it a very helpful Ash of War for later on. Next up, I also make my way to the Artist Painting Shack where I grab this painting, and we can actually go to the spirit that resides with this painting very quickly. Since I make my way down to the Dragonburnt Ruins to pick up the Swordstone key, I decide to hit 2 birds with 1 stone and also grab myself the Incantation Scarab, which you obtain after bringing the painting to the spirit here. The Incantation Scarab actually lowers our FP consumption with incantations, but we take more damage as a downside. I then go and get myself the Feathers Cookbook 1, which is going to allow me to craft sleep pots. And there is many places to grab Trina's lilies around here to craft these pots, so we're going to be looking in good shape. I then go on to craft as many fire pots as I possibly can because next up is the Fringle Forks Hero's Grave. An area that is absolutely flooded with BS if you don't know what you're doing, but thankfully I know how to make my way through and maneuver around to safety. The chariot is going to be a main threat, but again, since I know how to maneuver my way through the Fringle Fork Hero's grave, I stay out of relative danger. I got my Beast Eater shield here mainly to take down the imps that are waiting for me at this drop. They are very tough at early game, and especially when we're low level, but thankfully you can actually do a good amount of shield bashing to break them through. Either way, I make my way over to the Erdtree's favor while avoiding all the skewings, and then do a few drops to make my way up to the Erdtree Great Bow. Now fortunately, to get this Great Bow I need to be very careful, because there is a banished Night Spirit here that is very tough, but that is why I decided to bring some extra materials along with my fire bombs, because these fire bombs are going to be my main method of attacking and doing decent damage, while being able to maintain a safe distance. And as a little bit of a nice bonus, I also have the benefit of using the elevator to get out of battle while being able to craft more pots and then going up to re-engage with the spirit, which is still going to be damaged. Overall, I'm able to rinse and repeat till he's dead, and then we just have to shoot down one of the pots with a bow, which I conveniently have thanks to the bandit starting class coming with a short bow, to grab myself the Erdtree Great Bow once we destroy the chariot with one of the giant bombs hanging from the ceiling. After that, I also get my hands on the Dragon Communion Seal by killing the Brandish Knight, which I highly recommend if you haven't killed the chariot yet, to use the chariot to kill him. It makes it a lot easier as long as you can weave your way in between the crevices. But other than that, that is going to be the Fringle Fork Hero's grave down. Afterwards, I grab myself the Gravitas Ash of War, which we can get very fast and safely down to the beach area by taking this nice, huge, very long wellspring that takes us all the way down to the beach. It's very, very shocking that that's even possible. But there's an old man here that we can use my Reduvia for to proc bleed and stay at a good distance. Either way, he's going to be history. Bleed gets to him and we'll have ourselves the Gravitas Ash of War, which when I make my way down to the coastal cave, I'll be able to go to the merchant there and buy myself the broadsword, which I already have the existing requirements to wield. After that, I put my Gravitas Ash of War on there, and we're getting down and dirty. The Demi-Human Chief duo is the next threat on our list. Thankfully, however, we have the aid of not only Old Knight Istvan, but also our puppers at our side to help us out. Also, I remember to put on my Golden Vow Ash of War, and get a using Gravitas towards the ground. Also, a huge thank you to Istvan here, because his idea of using Gravitas for that extra bit of AoE to stagger was an excellent idea, and I actually got it from him. So Istvan is the man of the hour here, or more the man of the minute. Once they are defeated, we'll have the option to be able to tailor certain types of gear, and this way I'll be able to grab myself a really nice looking armor set later on, which we could grab now, but I'm waiting because of the difficulty. Either way, we make our way to the island that's off the coast, and what do you know, it's a Dragon Communion place. But unfortunately, we can only grab one type of Dragon Communion here, and the only way to do that is by defeating Agheel, which we will have to do later on because we don't have a strong enough prowess yet. Either way, we are going to grab Dragonfire eventually with our Dragon Seal, but now I think is a good time to fight Dr. Patches Jr. Thankfully, Dr. Patches is not going to give us too much trouble since we have a few levels and some better gear, and overall we can triumph. I also buy the Morgat Shackle here, although I will completely negate using it later on, but it's still great to have. Going down to the Waypoint Ruins, we can defeat the giant pumpkinhead with our puppers and go and find Selen, which directly afterwards I keep going south to grab myself not only the Academy House Scroll, but the Great Eepee, a main melee weapon of choice I will be using for a very long time. The Great Eepee requires 15 strength and 16 dex to wield, so I was putting a few points into dex from the 13 we start out with so we can wield it effectively. And with 10 points of strength, with the two-handing 1.5 multiplier, I'm able to wield this weapon effectively and use its weapon art, the Piercing Thrust. Which overall would prove to be one of the most helpful weapons I would get. And it will be especially helpful against Agheel later on. But while I was doing that, I also went to talk to Kayle about the Howling in Mistwood, and we get ourselves the Snap Gesture, which you know how the rest goes. After all, there is a grace right next to Darwill's Evergouge, which is our next spot. Again, since we have Reduvia, we aren't going to have too much trouble with Darwill since our husbando is going to be there to basically do some devastating stagger damage to Darwill, which is also going to allow the Reduvia's power to shine as we're procced and bleed very fast. And it's safe to say that we actually managed to defeat Darwill with not much trouble at all and grab ourselves the Bloodhound's Fang, which in my opinion is one of my favorite quality weapons and great curved swords of all time. But unfortunately I won't be using it in this video, it's just there to look cool. So we went through, we've gotten a lot of great stuff. Now it's time to get ourselves a +3 weapon. So I first started off by making my way to Stormfoot Catacombs, and we take down the Erdtree Graveyard Burial Watchdog dude. He's not too difficult, and like many, he is an oddly simple robotic type boss. After he's down, I go to Limgrave Tunnel, where I'm able to pick up many different types of smithing stones, and also get my hand on some glintstone scraps, which although I won't be using, still will be helpful for later. I also think it's worth mentioning that before I go into the troll boss fight with the Stone Digger dude, I decided to go and craft myself some sleep pots, because the Stone Digger troll is indeed vulnerable to sleep, which is what I do almost immediately after summoning the puppers and using Golden Vow. Overall, once we can knock down the Storm Digger troll, the rest is going to come down to those nice, sleek, very sexy riposte we can get on him, and overall he will be history. Unfortunately, the Roar Talisman won't help us with dragon incantations, but it won't matter too much because we won't be using them. Once I've done that, I should have more than enough smithing stones to upgrade my great EP to +3, and after that I also go and kill Yura since I'm not going to be leaving Limgrave, so it won't matter, and I can grab myself the Nagakiba. A very good, probably longest katana out of all them in the game, but overall will be completely useless to us. But what won't be useless to us is defeating the duelist in the Murkwater Catacombs, who has the possibility to drop the Great Hammer, will instead drop the Banished Knight Angval, which is a great summon in comparison to Uleg. Basically, it's becoming a killing spree, and I go over to the Death Touch Catacombs and defeat the Black Knife. Both Duelist and Black Knife didn't stand much of a chance because, again, Puppers, Golden Vow, and Backstabs with a +3 Great EP, even at minimum stat requirements, still works absolute wonders. And once I've done that, it's time to go and try my luck against Bernal, who has, in my opinion, the coolest early game armor set within the first area out of everyone else. Bernal's strategy is pretty simple. I buff up and I start getting a poke him with my great EP until he's dead. Bernal drops his Beast Champion armor, and I can now alter this to get the sick Regal Cape, which is going to give us defense values of that almost equal to Radahn's and the Commander set, with the only other one being stronger in this area, albeit by very little, the Banished Knight set, which we can only farm in Stormvale Castle, which good luck by the way, because they're tough and that can take a while. But other than that, we go to one of my favorite caves in the whole game, being High Road Cave. We take the drop down from Saint's Bridge, keep going north, pick up some St. Trina lilies, and we're dropping through the cave system. Overall, this place is absolutely breathtaking and beautiful, and the boss here isn't too difficult. But if I could recommend one thing, having a weapon with Gravitas will help you within the waterfall section, because these bats can be an absolute pain, but Gravitas can ground them, allowing you to get some very nice hits. The Guardian Golem isn't too difficult. I summon Puppers, I use my Golden Vow, I grab my Great EP, and we're poking at one shin till he falls. Once he's fallen, he's basically toast. You get your riposte, whatever else you gotta do, and he's broken into a million pieces. And you also get the Flynn's Ring of Elden Ring, which is awesome. Now, with all that, I upgraded my stats to allocate mostly for Faith, to be honest still, but I do believe I put a bit into Mun, and that it's time for Flying Dragon Akhil over his lake. Akhil is by far a very tough boss, and although the first dragon you can face, he is absolutely a challenge. Thankfully, however, I picked the Great EP for this reason, because Akhil is strong against every other type of elemental damage except for pierce damage, which is what the Great EP actually specializes in. Because of this reason, we stand a chance against Akhil, and I managed to defeat him with Torn at my side. Afterwards, we get a grand total of 1 Dragon Heart, which I can use over at the Communion to buy myself Dragonfire. Now, although Dragonfire won't be too great, especially compared to Akhil's Flame, which we have to go outside the Caelid in order to get, which is against the rules, I'm not going to be really relying off Dragonfire at all. But what I definitely am going to be doing is going and beating Merget and using one of my gold foul feet, which I forget to do. Roger, the puppers, and all my newly obtained gear allows me to defeat Merget in a humble amount of time. After that, again, we're upgrading Faith to 23 hopefully, and then we're making our way into Stormvale Castle. I actually decided to kill Gestok right away because after we open up the gates and he becomes a merchant, every time we die inside Stormvale, he's going to be taking 30% of our runes away from us. And he has some pretty good stuff in his bell bearing, so we might as well kill him. Once Gestok is defeated, Stormvale is going to be mostly just a run through it, but not without getting what will undoubtedly be the strongest thing in all of Limgrave in my opinion, if you're going to be taking down everything there. And that is the Godskin Incantations. In a room that is blocked by a Swordstone key, you can obtain in 2 chests both the Godskin Seal and the Godskin Prayer Book. The Godskin Seal requires 27 faith to wield, and although I never think I get that far, even with my Dragon Seal alone will be enough for these incantations to work wonders. I then use the prayer book over at the bootleg 9S, and this is going to allow me to get Black Flame and the Black Flame weapon, which I unfortunately buy Black Flame weapon instead, which is a way worse pick, but still pretty cool. It basically puts Destined Death Flame on my weapon, and that can do extra damage once the enemy is hit by my weapon. Other than that, it's honestly kind of lame, but I do pick up the 2 crackpots over in Stormvale Castle, and I'm able to defeat the Tree Sentinel, which is great. But overall, up to this point, my biggest problem was not picking the Black Flame. The Black Flame is by far the strongest incantation and honestly goodness spell weapon you can get in Limgrave right from the start. I wasted almost an hour both on the Crucible Knight and on the Knight's Cavalry, trying my hardest with the very little time I had to use the Black Flame Blade on my Great EP to no avail. But eventually, when everybody left because they didn't believe in me anymore and thought I was just wasting their time on stream, it happened. I grinded a few runes by killing some enemies. I made my way back off to knock off 9S. I bought the Black Flame Incantation, and guess what? It not only is a great fireball projectile, but it also is chargeable, making it stronger. And again, many of the enemies we're going to be fighting are actually weak or vulnerable to fire, so it gets real here. This incantation not only gives me excellent range for a ball throw, but is chargeable, giving it more power, and because it's a Black Flame, it'll be doing a bit more extra damage over a short period of time, which is great. So I make my way down to the underground section of Stormvale Castle, and I face off against the Urculated Tree Spirit, a very intimidating foe at first, but because of my trusty Black Flame at my side, I'm able to prevail and grab myself a nice little vitality boosting talisman. After that, I make my way back to the Crucible that was giving me so much trouble, and he, even with his shield up, still cannot stand against the Black Flame, as I take him down as well. But if you thought I was done there, I make my way back down to the Fringle Fork Hero's grave, and I take on this Urculated Tree Spirit, which, what do you know, I actually end up beating, despite it being an incredibly tight small space with ample amounts of opportunity for the Urculated Tree Spirit to get in a BS attack on me. And of course I cannot forget about the Crucible Knight that is on the cliffside of Stormvale Castle, who embarrassingly gets owned by my Black Flame. You're hearing a lot of Black Flame here. Oh yeah, we also can't forget I defeat the Knight's Cavalry as well. But even before that, Godric the Grafted can't stand a chance, as I get Nephililu to join me with my puppers, as I use my Black Flame to defeat him too, and I didn't even need his Great Rune at all. I was doing all this without it, which even though it's nice to have the Great Rune, I didn't need it. And there you go. And with that, I've defeated all the tough bosses in Limgrave, the first area. I did miss out on Deathbird, but I don't think he would have stood much of a chance either. But there you go. About 27 Faith, 15 Arcane, the Dragon Communion Seal or Godskin depending, and the trusty Black Flame. I was able to become very powerful in Limgrave and defeat all of its strongest threats. And with that being said, I would like to thank all of you who not only stopped by on stream, but are watching this video and have watched it all the way to the end. You guys are the reason I love to make these types of videos, and I truly hope you enjoy and learn something new from them. If you guys do, please make sure to like this video and share it with your friends. I think that Elden Ring is an absolute great experience for any Souls player, whether they're new or old. There's so much freedom within the game that these type of videos can be made. But make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys keep up to date with all my Elden Ring content. And check out the Elden Ring playlist with over my 130 videos on the game. You're sure to find something there you'll like. But also make sure to join my Discord server. All the boys and ladies are over there and love to play Elden Ring, so make sure you check them out. Follow my Twitch if you would like, and my other socials, including my Twitter and my Instagram, in the description below. And check out my merch if you're interested, or use my coupon code RENCREATES at aowia.com to save up to 3% on your next purchase. Either way, I appreciate you guys no matter what you do, and I'm glad that all of you guys are here to enjoy my Elden Ring experience. But until next time, arrivederci.